Hello, friends. Today, let me take you on a journey to a place where art was born from fire, to the shining heart of the Renaissance, to the islands of Venice. This is the story of the Venetian Glass Blowers, the artists of flame and breath, the guardians of beauty hidden within molten sand, the island of fire. Long ago, in the 13th century, Venice was the jewel of the seas. Its ships ruled the Mediterranean. Its merchants carried spices and silk from the east, and its palaces glittered like dreams on water. But behind the glamour, there was an art so delicate, so dangerous, that the city decided to hide it away on a small island called Murano. Why? Because glassmaking was not just a craft. It was a secret as precious as gold. One spark could set Venice ablaze. The wooden city would burn like tinder. So in 1291, the Great Council of Venice ordered every glass furnace to be moved to Murano, a quiet island away from the main city. There, the glassblowers built their world, a world of fire, air, and imagination. And among them was one young man whose story we'll follow, Luca Barravier, the boy of the furnace. Luca was born in a family of master glassmakers. His father, Matteo Barravier, was known across the islands for creating the clearest glass Venice had ever seen, cristallo. From the time Luca could walk, he lived in the glow of furnaces, where sand turned to liquid light. He learned early that glassmaking was not about brute strength, but rhythm, a dance between fire and breath. Every morning, he would watch the masters gather around the glowing furnace, dip their long blowpipes into molten glass, and shape it with slow, careful turns. The hiss of fire, the hum of bellows, and the murmured prayers to Saint Nicholas, patron of glassblowers, filled the air. "Remember, Luca," his father would say, "fire gives life, but it also tests you. Lose patience, and it will punish you." Luca would nod, his eyes wide, his heart filled with wonder. The secret of cristallo. By his teenage years, Luca was already known for his steady hands. His dream was to create glass so pure it would look like frozen water. But his father's workshop guarded one great secret, the formula for cristallo, the transparent Venetian glass that no other land could copy. Matteo trusted his son, but was cautious. "Our craft is our blood," he told him. "The Doge of Venice forbids us to reveal our secrets to foreigners. A glassblower who leaves Murano without permission can be hunted down. We are craftsmen and prisoners of our art." Luca understood, but he also dreamed. He wanted to see the world, to show that beauty born of Murano's fire could light every corner of the earth. Rivalries in fire. Murano was filled with workshops, each competing fiercely for fame. The Seguso, Venier, and Barravier families were like rival kingdoms. Masters would spy on each other, trying to steal techniques for new colors: cobalt blue from Persia, ruby red from gold dust, emerald green from copper oxide. Luca's biggest rival was Marco Seguso, a proud young craftsman known for his arrogance and ambition. Marco believed that the Seguso family would someday surpass all others. When the Doge announced a grand competition to create a glass masterpiece for the Palace of St. Mark, every workshop began to burn hotter. The winner would earn gold, glory, and the Doge's eternal favor. Matteo warned Luca not to be distracted. "Pride is the quickest way to break glass," he said. But Luca's heart raced with excitement. He wanted to prove himself worthy, not just as Matteo's son, but as a master in his own right, the stranger from the east. One evening, while collecting sand near the harbor, Luca met a stranger, an old man with a weathered face and eyes like desert stars. He introduced himself as Yusuf, a traveler from Damascus, once a glassworker in Syria before the Crusaders destroyed his city. Yusuf carried with him a small shard of glass, glowing faintly red even in the dark. "This is the secret of my people," he said softly. "We called it the ruby of the furnace." Luca was mesmerized. Venice had never made glass like this, a deep red that looked alive. "Teach me," he whispered. Yusuf smiled sadly. "I can teach you only if you promise not to use it for greed. This art is a language of souls, not coins." And so night after night, Yusuf showed Luca how to mix the glass with tiny grains of gold, how to coax color out of flame. The two worked in secret, away from the eyes of rival craftsmen. But secrets in Murano never stayed hidden for long. The betrayal. One night, Marco Seguso followed Luca to the beach and spied on him. He saw the glowing red glass, the shimmer of molten gold. The next morning, Marco stormed into the Doge's palace, declaring that Luca had betrayed Venice by learning secrets from a foreigner. Within hours, guards surrounded Matteo's workshop. The council accused Luca of breaking the sacred law of Murano, sharing glassmaking secrets with outsiders. His father was furious and heartbroken. "You have shamed us," he cried. "Do you know what they do to those who betray Venice?" Luca was imprisoned in the Doge's dungeons. Yusuf disappeared, leaving behind only a small pouch of gold dust and a note. "The fire tests the purest hearts." The trial by fire. The council decided Luca would face trial by fire, a cruel punishment where the accused must prove his innocence by creating something no one else could. "If your glass survives the furnace," said the judge, "you are innocent. If it shatters, you are guilty." In the cold chamber of the glasshouse, with nobles watching, Luca stood trembling before the roaring furnace. His hands shook as he mixed sand, ash, and Yusuf's gold dust. He whispered a prayer and blew gently into the pipe. Hours passed. Sweat ran into his eyes. The glass glowed crimson, then began to clear, turning into a shimmering, living red, as if flame itself had been captured inside. When he placed it on the marble slab to cool, silence fell. The Doge himself stepped forward. The glass did not crack. It glowed like a jewel. "Behold," said the Doge, "the ruby of Venice." Luca was pardoned. The council declared his discovery a state treasure, to be guarded in Murano forever. The years of mastery. Luca became a legend. The ruby glass of Murano was prized by kings and emperors. Ambassadors begged for it, merchants tried to smuggle it, and spies risked their lives to steal it. But the secret stayed hidden, known only to Luca and his apprentices, sworn to loyalty under pain of death. For years he taught younger craftsmen, but never forgot Yusuf, the old master who had given him wisdom. In honor of his memory, Luca engraved on every piece, "Born of fire, forged in friendship." Murano thrived. The furnaces blazed day and night. Ships carried Venetian glass to Constantinople, Florence, Paris, even to the far courts of China. The island glowed like a constellation upon the sea, the fire of Venice. But no glory lasts forever. One summer night, when the air was dry and the wind from the Adriatic fierce, a furnace exploded in the Seguso workshop. Flames leapt across rooftops. Houses caught fire. The entire island blazed red like a second sunset. Luca, now an old man, ran into his workshop to save his life's work. "Leave it," his apprentices cried. But he refused. He rushed into the heat, clutching a single crystal flower, the first piece he had ever made as a boy. By dawn, Murano lay in ashes. But Luca survived, his beard singed, his hands blistered, his eyes bright as ever. When people asked why he risked his life, he said simply, "Because art must live, even if the maker burns." The legacy of light. Years passed. Luca's apprentices rebuilt the furnaces. The Doge rewarded Murano's loyalty, granting it special rights, the title of Island of Fire. Travelers came from distant lands to watch the miracle of molten glass shaping into goblets, chandeliers, mirrors, and mosaics. Luca spent his final years teaching children not just how to blow glass, but how to listen to it. "One breath," he told them, "can give life to sand, but only a heart full of patience can give it a soul." When he died, the furnaces burned for 3 days in his honor. The Doge ordered that the great bell of St. Mark ring out for the Master of Light. His ashes were mixed into the sand of a new furnace, so that, in every piece of glass made on Murano, a spark of Luca would live forever. The secret lives on. Centuries have passed. Tourists still visit Murano, crossing the bridges to see the glass blowers at work. Inside their workshops, men and women shape glowing orbs into swans. goblets, and shimmering chandeliers. The air smells of heat and salt, and the furnaces hum like living hearts. They say that when a craftsman lifts a glowing piece from the fire, he can sometimes see the faint reflection of an old man, smiling behind the flame. They call him Luca, the spirit of the furnace. And when the glass cools and shines in the sunlight, you can see the soul of Venice itself, fragile, luminous, and eternal. The lesson of fire. So, friends, the story of the Venetian glass blowers is not just about art, it's about courage, secrecy, and the dance between beauty and danger. Every piece of Murano glass carries centuries of breath, sweat, and dream. When you hold a small Venetian glass in your hand, remember, it began as dust. It faced the fire. It was shaped by patience, tested by betrayal, and born of love. And like us, it shines only because it has survived the flame, the echo of the furnace. Even now, if you walk through Murano at dawn, before the tourists arrive, you can hear the quiet crackle of the furnaces and the soft chant of the glassblowers. They hum the same old tune Luca once sang, a song without words, a rhythm of breath and hope. In the Museum of Murano, the ruby of Venice still glows faintly under the light. No one has ever been able to recreate it exactly. Some say it's because Luca mixed a tear into the molten glass that day, a drop of sorrow that made it alive. But others believe the secret was never in the formula. It was in the heart of the maker. So, my friends, whenever you see Venetian glass, delicate, transparent, shimmering, remember the island that still burns with silent fire. Remember the men who shaped light from flame. Remember Luca, the boy who learned that true beauty comes from breathing life into what the world calls impossible. Sparkles born of fire, forged in friendship, eternal as light. Sparkles.